These are the Minecraft build hacks that you need to add to your world, but they get increasingly more pro as the video goes on. By having a light blue stained glass right underneath our heavy core, it just looks like we placed our mace right down in the world. Building over water can be a real hassle, but thankfully we have lily pads for a better alternative. And using these, we can start from the surface instead of diving deep. The skeleton skulls are usually just good for one thing, spawning the wither. But by angling these just right, we can follow this user's lead and have them be cannonballs inside of your pirate ship. While your friends might settle for a regular written book inside of their lecterns, if we just place two of these facing inwards, then we got a supersized tome to use at your desk. Ever since 1.21, tuff blocks are going to get a lot more love in the building community. We can almost blend together the textures of the different tuff blocks, and using that make a gradient into our pillars. By just placing down some mangrove roots like this, that work surprisingly well as dead sugarcane stalks. Take a look at these walls. Now, from afar, nothing looks too out of the ordinary, but up close, you'll notice that we actually did the unthinkable. We used walls as walls. It turns out that even without text, what would have been simple stacks of blocks becomes something much more upscale when we add signs for detail. Using endstone in a build is already a bold move, but this user shows us that there's actually a pretty good reason for Mojang added in the brick versions of these blocks, and that by using it together with green glazed terracotta, you can get a really nice green looking building for your skyline. I actually think that granite could do better for itself, and if you look at examples where it's mixed in with spruce logs and wood, the reddish hues of the granite actually make it work really nice as a complementary stone block. By alternating between a heavy core, a wall, and another heavy core on top, we can take after this zigzag pattern and add ourselves a kind of raindrop effect inside of your walls. As this post shows off, if you were to tuck one of these respawn anchors into a ceiling made of crying obsidian, then sure enough, we've got ourselves a hidden light source in your ceiling. By using polished basalt in the right directions, we're able to make it look as if a tree was struck by lightning. The key part is adding in a lightning rod right in the center. That way, this tree is actually going to be functional as a lightning rod. Take a ruined portal for example. These are supposed to be burnt up and badly damaged, but the regular stone brick doesn't always sell that. So instead, we could add some of the deep slate and blackstone variants to the mix and make charred and damaged stone to your builds. If armor stands have taught us anything, then it's that these armor trims can also blend particularly well inside of our build hacks. And my newest favorite one is using the bolt armor trim to make our own recreation of Tron inside of Minecraft. Scaffolding is a great block, but it doesn't look much like actual scaffolding. So instead, we're gonna use campfires. It'll still be functional as scaffolding, but look a lot more believable to the actual thing. With a couple of iron trap doors laid across like this, with some anvils to boot for the edges, we can add in a skeleton skull and an invisible item frame with a bone in it to give ourselves the perfect evil autopsy table to put inside of a scary build. Here's how to make your bamboo farm look 10 times better. Since with the help of the debug stick, we can add in these different leaves to your bamboo stalks and essentially make them into a whole new plant. By alternating between dark oak fences and nether brick fences like so, we're essentially creating larger fence gates than we ever thought were possible inside of vanilla Minecraft. By using an open fence gate, we can separate our lava from the campfire but still have the smoke billow out the top. And that, folks, adds a great particle effect to any lava lakes you plan on adding. All it takes is placing one of the 16 bed types and then right-clicking it with a debug stick to get something of a colorful slab to use. Armor stands are entities, and with those properties, we can get some interesting results. For instance, why not overlap their hitboxes and score some extra detail on a build? By hiding a string underneath the anvil, the string's able to be free supporting, and now we can use this anvil with a couple of chains on top as a survival-friendly anchor detail. You see, since observers can detect when daylight sensors update, then you can have this system power a bell that lets you know when it's right time to hit the hay. If we tuck a villager into a minecart like this, its hat will still poke through the floor. So with enough slabs and a shepherd villager, we can make our very own moving Roomba that rides around your floor. What we have here is a banner pattern that's aligned just right, so that the black circle of the banner pattern actually looks like a hole inside of the tree bark. And then the added detail to have a custom player head that looks like a log that's sticking out of the tree, I think works just great. If you're playing in creative and you summon in a sniffer with the no AI tag, then you'll notice that you'll have this great bush texture to play around with. And a signature sniffer sticking out too. With the help of an armor stand, we're able to position our telescopes just right and make it look like we got spyglass bottles instead. Lots of cobblestone can look fine in certain situations, but when you see it by itself, it really just looks ugly. And the idea of using this with your vehicles, that's a really clever way to use this block. When it comes to storing your stuff, a chest minecart maybe isn't your first pick, but that might be our mistake, since when we stack them like so, we can turn these roller coaster rejects into proper working drawers. As demonstrated, we can use centuries-old technology to make our own sundial right in the game, which when partnered with shaders lets us use shadows to tell the time. A sugarcane farm really stands out in your world. And lucky for us, these have gotten so simple to build. And better yet, if you use a design like we have on screen, you can actually stack these modules to get even more sugarcane for whatever your needs are. As you can see here, the only way we're able to access the items underneath is by extinguishing this campfire. As you'll notice, the end portal texture makes for a convincing starry background. So when you get some of these underneath your floor, you can give the impression that you're stationed above the stars. With a couple of blast furnaces, we're able to tuck this into our kitchen and take after this user to make our very own stovetop and oven design. As IamPixel shows off, the red color of the mangrove wood lends perfectly to building yourself an airplane. See, we're all familiar with the concept of a bouncy castle, so why don't we follow that blueprint in game? And folks, I'm talking the whole 9 yards. A full castle exterior, sticky piston bounce pads, everything to make this place into the hotspot for hopping. Why settle for a hidey hole when we could go one step further and build ourselves a proper tactical hill? As this post lays out, we can use a mix of redstone ingenuity partnered with grass blocks to build something fit for both defensive and offensive purposes. By merging armor sets with our stone blocks, we can make our very own kinds of ores within the cave systems. Are they convincing? Not necessarily, but they do add a fun bit of variation to the dark depths. If you take a campfire and extinguish it, then we could use that middle space in between the 2 logs on top to align with some armor stands and get ourselves a perfect looking rack of potions like we can see here. In the community, there's been something of an unspoken competition to see who can make the best nether portal sword. I think this take with the electric guitar is particularly special, since on the overworld we've got the neck, and then the base of the guitar comes through on the other end. The way this particular farm works is that we set up our mouse in such a way that we're constantly right-clicking and left-clicking as needed, which means we'll place all our saplings, break all the logs, and then repeat the process ad nauseum. If you've ever played on Skyblock, then everyone is familiar with the concept of a cobblestone generator. We've been able to do a lot of work on this machine ever since taking it off the island. And you can see as much when you look at this, which is an automatic cobblestone generator. Finding the ancient debris necessary to get netherite is a real hassle to do. Well, if you still got a hankering for explosions, then you gotta build a TNT duper for netherite mining. Going over lava in the nether is a huge pain. Through the help of flying machines and some extra potent ice, we can actually have it where this machine will get set off and just make a straight line of basalt right in front of it. Nether portals are kind of an eyesore, and they can definitely spawn some piglins if you're not careful. Using a delay circuit like this, we can have it so you stand in the portal, press the button, teleport, and then all the evidence is cleared behind you. With this command that I'm going to put down in the description, if you put this inside of a command block, then we can press the button and get ourselves a fully formed couch made out of purple. The concept of this is fairly simple. We build a large spawning platform for wanting villagers to come into play, then we put a bell in the middle that they make their way towards. And as soon as they're there, you kill them off and their llamas, and then you're able to get free leads for you. Here we've got a piston door that only opens up for players. See, just using a calibrated skulk sensor alone would detect for any movement, but we're filtering that out by using this skulk shrieker. And at that point, it powers the note block and we're able to walk inside. As it turns out, salmon, cod, tropical fish, and pufferfish all have a 5% chance of dropping bone meal on death, which is not a high yield by any means. But if you want to kill 2 birds with 1 stone and get a fish farm and a bone meal farm up and running, this is a way to do it. If you want to make the fastest mob farm possible, then we've got to look at what Victor 40's cooked up. This mob farm is one of the fastest mob farms in Minecraft. Just this alone, we're filling up almost 900 double chests worth every hour. Built by Mythical Pingu, we have a full-scale redstone tank. And of course, it's hard to look at this thing and not appreciate what's on top of it. Watching it in action's something else. Made by Crafty Masterman, this here isn't just a big vault, but it's a big vault made out of even bigger large-scale blocks. And those large-scale blocks are completely functional. Like, no joke, even the redstone dust and torches, all of them work and all of them are giant. Apparently, no one's ever subscribed to the channel using their left elbow. So to fix that, point your funny bone to that red button below. And with that, folks, YouTube thinks that you might like this video. So see if they're right and have a good one, all right?